Tell me a little bit about your mission and what the purpose of the film was, basically.
Well, the basic idea was to come down here and show folks that Guatemala has some incredible whitewater rivers, and that these rivers contain some of the last remaining corridors of pristine rainforests in Guatemala and probably in all of Central America. So by bringing people into these corridors, making a film to bring it to the world's attention, especially with the Rio Copon, nobody knows what's in there, or only a few. There's only been one expedition descent back in 2006. So if we could bring some awareness, then possibly we could stop some momentum towards building dams in the area, develop some sort of an association, a foundation of people interested in conserving rivers here in Guatemala, bring it to the government's attention that you've got some amazing resources, let's act to protect them. And the irony of the whole situation is we go into the Rio Copon and we're expecting maybe some opposition to why are you coming here, and they might turn us back. But a lot of sentiments among the Mayan people there that maybe were associated with wanting to build a dam. And the exact opposite was true. We want to bring this to the world's attention and prevent the destruction of the river. So we're on their side. It's just really unfortunate the way it all came down, because we could have worked together with the Mayan communities to bring this to the world's attention.
Did you have some other things that you wanted to say specifically, or let me just ask you some questions?
Sure. There's some moments that stood out in that whole experience, and I'm not thinking entirely clearly because I had a 2-hour nap in the last 36 hours. But I want to bring some attention to the efforts of some people on the trip. Roberto, for being so calm and speaking with the community leaders when there's mobs that wanted to extract some vengeance upon us, and trying to calm them down. I thought he had to do it time and time again. What Max did when he offered to stay and let everybody else go, and that we would go and get the 50,000 quetzals that they wanted as a fine for being there. And Max said he could stay while we went in and collected the money. So I thought that was probably one of the bravest things I'd ever seen, because there were people in the crowd that were calling to burn them, hang them, kill them. And although the leaders seemed to have things in control, anytime you get a mob psychology can set in, and one or two individuals could have turned that thing very ugly on a moment's notice. And it did have moments when it seemed it might go that way. Some of the other moments that stood out was the last stop that we had after being questioned and running the gamut of being accused of a lot of things in 4 different stops. The last stop we approached, I had the feeling like, okay, it was going to be the same sort of thing, maybe sign some papers, and then we move on. And when a man came up, running up to the truck, and I'm in the front passenger side, and he's screaming at us to get out of the truck now, ahorita. And we weren't moving fast enough, I guess, and he pulled his machete out and was brandishing his machete. So got out of the truck, and I'm not sure what he's going to do at that point. And at that point, they got a hold of Jaime and started roughing him up. And that was a very conflicted situation for all of us, because we knew Jaime might be harmed. He could even be killed. And we're sort of helpless. We're surrounded by all these people with machetes, and a very unnerving situation, worried for his safety, but being unable to really respond, being powerless. Another moment that really stands out for me was when we came into, I believe the name of the place was La Teña, and the word had gotten ahead, and the villagers, and by then it was dark, and we went through a corridor of people, hundreds upon hundreds of people lining the road. It was a It's like, okay, this is going to be a very serious stop. And by the time we pulled in and the crowd had gathered, 500 to 1,000 people, who know how, beyond what we could see, there's probably even more people. And the leaders at that point weren't entirely in control, because they're going to say what they're going to say, and there's only the people in the vicinity that are going to hear what they're saying and will be influenced by what they say. And for the most part, I thought the leaders were trying to control the situation. They had to throw some meat to the people, and yeah, these gringos are bad, and they need to be punished. But well, let's just send them on their way. They'll never come back. So that situation could have really turned in an ugly way. And fortunately, everybody got out alive. That's the main thing. And unfortunately, all the documentation, the film work that we've done on this trip was stolen. My bag was stolen out of the truck, and at this point we're back to ground zero with a promotional film about river conservation in Guatemala.
And what's your plan, or have you really had time to think about that, about what your future plan might be as far as continuing with it, trying to kind of start over and maybe take a different approach, since most likely the Copon is out? What's your plan?
At this point, the only plan I have, and it's not even a plan, it's a hope I have, is that the people involved with the government, their connections with local people, all the phone calls that have been done on our behalf, all the people that have been offering their help. It's been amazing, the support that's poured in, and it's, the army with 50 soldiers arrived. That was a little crazy. So my hope is that the camera will be recovered. That I think there's enough people with sense in that community. They don't want any more attention with us, and that they'll find who took the things. I'm sure they probably even know by now who took our things, and get them back. But again, the main thing is that everybody's safe and sound. No one was seriously hurt, and we'll go to next steps after we get some sleep.
Yeah.
I think that's about all I have this year. I think they gave you about this story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We got
Well,
Roberto.
I think I'll move for him.